Hey guys, I'm Chris Buck and a very warm welcome to Friday Fretworks, and this week we're taking a look at Gibson's diabolical tone-sucking circuit from the late 1950s, or at least if you believe everything you read online. We're of course talking about the Varitone. So what is a Varitone, and is it really that bad? After all, everyone from BB to Freddie King to George Harrison to Marty McFly have used guitars equipped with a Varitone, particularly impressively so in Marty's case, as in 1955, Gibson wouldn't introduce a Varitone for at least another 4 years, but we'll let that little chronological slip slide.
I guess you guys aren't ready for that yet.
Now fast forward to the spring of 1959, and Gibson introduced the ES345 to sit right between their standard 335 and their top-of-the-line ES355. Now, the ES345 is particularly notable for its split parallelogram inlays, Varitone circuitry, and its stereo pickups. Now, thanks to the introduction of stereo vinyl in the late 1950s, stereophonic sound was all the rage, and guitar companies were quick to try and capitalise. Gretsch, notably so in 1958, Gibson following suit in 1959. Now, clearly, Gibson had very big hopes for their stereo sound, but it would prove to be the humbly appointed 335 that would be the flagship semi-hollow body model. And as such, the stereo sound and the Varitone circuitry of the ES345 has been somewhat consigned to the history books, and in the Varitone's case, widely misunderstood. Over the years, there's been much speculation and much misinformation in regard to what a Varitone circuit is, and ultimately, what the hell does it do? Put simply, it's a notch filter. It removes preset slices out of your mid-range, increasingly so the higher the number the preset, resulting in an increasingly hollow, kind of nasal tone the further you go. Now, position 1, the Varitone is bypassed entirely, or at least it is in modern Gibsons. It's worth pointing this out. I think this is the origin of that persistent gospel that's dogged the Varitone since its inception, is that in those original 345s, even when it was in position 1, ergo bypassed, it was still technically in the circuit, which I guess you could perceive as sucking tone. However, this is not the case with modern Gibsons. Positions 2 to 5 removing increasingly large chunks out of that mid-range, resulting in position 6 being what people commonly term as that transistor radio sound. Rather than trying to explain this, it's just much easier if I play some guitar and let you hear the effect. So as much as the Varitone is clearly responsible for some incredibly cool, albeit incredibly specific guitar tones, it doesn't really explain why this period feature, to quote Gibson's own website, has survived until today. Now, its survival can primarily be put down to two people, or two kings, BB and Freddie, both of which not only use the ES345 very heavily, but both of which love the Varitone circuit, specifically positions 2 and 3, with BB in particular kind of taking a set and forget approach. The irony here, of course, being that hollow, quacky, nasal sound, which is so synonymous with early BB King records in particular, like Live at the Regal, wasn't the Varitone at all. So many of those early ES345s were wired from the factory out of phase. On that middle position, which BB was such a big fan of, with both volumes up full, you get that beautifully hollow, quacky, kind of nasal sound, which you can hear all over early BB King records in particular. You can see and hear that on this next clip, that not only are both pickups on in that middle position, they're sounding beautifully out of phase, but the Varitone circuit isn't even engaged. However, the moment you turn even one of the pickups volumes down, even very slightly, you significantly reduce that out of phase effect. You can see and hear that on this next clip with this 1955 Les Paul that I played a little while back, which again came from the factory out of phase. But if you want to hear this to its full effect, check out the first track from Live at the Regal, undeniably one of the greatest live albums ever recorded. Every Day I Have the Blues, and the drastic change in guitar tone on that first track, which, for my ears, is coming very much from BB playing with the volume controls more than it is the Varitone circuit. And there you have it. A brief but hopefully comprehensive overview of the Varitone circuit. Novel it may be, undoubtedly so, but context is key, and if you think that this came from a point in time when guitar companies were desperate to showcase the latest and greatest in innovation, relative to, say, Gretsch's string moots, or even the inbuilt guitar stand that Gill did once upon a time, at least the Varitone has many practical applications, and over the years has been responsible for some incredibly cool, extremely unique guitar tones. And ultimately, if you don't like it, just turn it off. As ever, I'm Chris Buck. Thank you very much for watching. This is Friday Fretworks. Please subscribe, hit the bell icon if you haven't already, and I shall see you next week for another episode of Friday Fretworks. Cheers, guys. Take care. I'll see you soon.